In this video, we're going to talk about the intercepts of a graph. We're going to look at how to find those intercepts and then also how to use them to graph a linear equation. So the point or points where a graph crosses or touches the x and y axis are known as the intercepts of the graph. The point where the graph crosses or touches the x-axis is the x-intercept. And the point or points where the graph crosses or touches the y-axis is the y-intercept. Now, you'll notice that I refer to crosses or touches because with linear equations, if they have a x or y intercept, then it's going to cross, or the graph is going to cross at that intercept. However, when we look at future and other types of functions in the future, we're going to see that sometimes it doesn't cross, it kind of touches or bounces and goes back in the other direction. But we'll get to that eventually. For right now, all of our intercepts are going to cross. Because the x-intercept always sits on the x-axis, so if you think about looking at our rectangular coordinate system down here, here's the x-axis, and what is true about any point that's on this x-axis? Well, it has a y value of 0. So because the x-intercept always sits on the x-axis, then the y value of the x-intercept will always be 0. And likewise, if you think about any point that is on the y-axis, that's going to have an x value of 0. So the y-intercept is always going to have an x value of 0. And that's nice because this makes it easy for us to find both the x and the y-intercepts of a graph. So we have an example where we want to find the intercepts of the graph and then of the following equation, and then use them to graph the line. So again, remember that for the x-intercept, what did we say is always true about the y value? The y value is always 0 because it is sitting on the x-axis. So in order to find the y-intercept, the x-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for y, and then we're going to solve for x. So we have 0 equals 3x minus 6. Add 6 to both sides. We get 6 is equal to 3x. Divide by 3. And we get x is equal to 2. So the x-intercept has an x value of 2 and a y value is always 0. So the x-intercept in this case is the point 2, 0. The y-intercept, well, remember we said that the y-intercept always has an x value of 0. So in this case, we're going to plug 0 in for x and we're going to solve for y. So we get y equals 3 times 0 minus 6. So y is equal to, well, 3 times 0 is just 0, and 0 minus 6 is just negative 6. So y is equal to negative 6. So for the y-intercept, the x value is 0, and the y value is negative 6. So now that we have found both the x and the y-intercepts, we can find the graph of the equation by plotting our intercepts and connecting them with a straight line. Because remember, any linear equation is going to have a graph that is a straight line. Linear line, you can kind of see where the name comes from. So our x-intercept is 2, 0. So that would be this point right here. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 6, which is just slightly off of our coordinate system down here. And then the graph, we're going to connect these two. And we're going to pretend like that's a straight line because it should be straight. And that would be the graph of the equation y equals 3x minus